All right, we're live. Hey, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you hail from.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Nubs, for sharing us out. Appreciate that.
Just don't show us teeth in. We're not that thick.
Just waiting for D-Live to get going so I can pop out the chat and get started. There we go.
I got some notification that this Missy chick is going live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Abraxas, how you doing? There we go.
Exactly it. No, because you never know where they're coming from.
Hi,
Nicole. Well, I'll say hi to Gillian, even though I know she's not here.
Hey,
Amanda, Heather, Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Abraxas.
We're doing good. Doing good.
Nicole. One of our story writers.
Andy.
What's up, brother?
How are you guys this morning? We're doing all right, I guess. Hello, Rain.
Rain trying to sneak on in there.
Still trying to wake up, I'll tell you that much. Still trying to wake up.
Trouble's here. Andy just showed up.
Yep, that's right. Watch out, Andy is in the room. Hey, Dakota, how are you? Turtle, don't say turtle.
What's up, Dakota?
What's going on?
My schedule's all screwed up, not working.
I know. When he has a couple days off, he goes nuts. Can you guys hear us okay? I was fiddling with the microphone last night, so hopefully y'all can hear us.
And he says, I ain't trouble. It just kind of follows me everywhere. It's like campfire smoke.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Yep, volume is good.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I was fiddling around with the mic because at the end I got a thing to roll with the credits, and so I had to fiddle with the mic a little bit. So I always get nervous that, hey, Jax.
Jax is here.
How you doing? Hey, Scoop.
Boy, they just popping in left and right.
I know. It's a Monday morning.
They must have think you went live.
I know. But yeah, so I always get nervous that I put the settings wrong when I put it back.
She would never do such a thing.
Never. I would never mess with the tech.
At least not on purpose.
Right? We're doing good. Good to hear that you're doing good. Definitely. We got a big show today. Big show. We're going to talk about all different sorts of things.
All different sorts of things?
Yes, all different sorts of things.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Hey, Boomer, how are you?
Now Trouble's here.
Watch out, everybody. Good to see you, Boomer. Very good to see you. So yeah, on today's show, we're talking about St. Mary's Church in Clophill. It's also known as the Black Magic Church. And a couple of other short stories that we'll talk about. Then we're going to talk about the weather and the paranormal. How it can affect the paranormal on investigations. Hello, Lady Blind Wolf. How are you? And we're going to talk about, if you guys want, we'll talk about how to make your own barometer and your own electroscope. And then we're going to talk about, everybody always talks about white noise, right? We're going to talk about the other colors of white noise and how that affects everybody and what it is and all that good stuff. Hey, Pammy. Hey,
Hi,
Drew. How are you guys?
Boomer, you don't have to pass through that fast.
That's right. You can stop and talk a bit. So, yeah. Big show today. No, clophill. Did I say clophill? Right, Skook, yes. Pink noise, brown noise, orange noise, black noise, all that good stuff. Definitely. So, yeah, pretty interesting show today. Pretty interesting show. Of course, as you know, at the ending of the show, get over in D Live and get your lemons. And
well, don't get the two confused, Drew.
Yeah. Just so you guys know, if you are in Facebook, there is a link that says chat restream IO Facebook. Click on that link to give permission to talk in Facebook. That way we know who we're talking to, and it doesn't just say Facebook user.
Congratulations, you've reached 100 messages today.
Hey, you guys are awesome. Look at that.
I think that's the fastest we've hit it.
I think so too. Definitely. You're the best. Thank you, Nicole. You are the best. Let me make sure that I read all my notes and make sure that I got everything said that I wanted to say.
You did it last week. I'm trying to study and listen.
We'll definitely chime in. Let me put that down. All right, guys. Are you ready? On March 16th, 1963, in a church in a street in clophill, already, not even a sentence in, a local couple saw two Lutton boys playing with a human skull. The youths claimed that they had taken it from the inside of St. Mary's, where they had discovered it stuck on a broken piece of a window frame that had been jammed into the wall. On the floor were a breastbone, pelvis, leg bones, laid in the pattern used in a black mass. It was as described as the newspaper reports of police statements, scattered cockerel feathers and tracings of two Maltese...
what the fart?
Right? And two Maltese crosses in red. One newly done and the other somewhat weather-worn were also found in the church. And Skook, note to self, do not take lost skulls home.
That's funny, Andy. I'm not as young as you friggin' think I am.
So Neil's mother had always told him his head was in the clouds. He examined every fairy ring, searched for spirits around every turn. It wasn't hard to imagine them lurking around a town like Clophill. His favorite story was about the flying horse, an unearthly white beast that could be seen on the old church path. Neil had never seen it, but he certainly gave it every opportunity to appear. Neil didn't have many friends, so he tended to walk around alone a lot. His favorite walk was from High Street up to Old St. Mary's Church. It wasn't long, maybe 30 minutes if you took your time. And for once, the horse was there, a white stallion glittering in the afternoon sun. There was a strange cold surrounding the animal, the kind that burned your nose and reddened your cheeks. But Neil knew the opportunity. He knew an opportunity when he saw one. So he pulled out his phone to take a selfie with it. He lined it up in a shot, prepared to prove everyone wrong. His mother, his teachers, even that girl he asked out. Once he hit the button, the flash fired the camera, and it fell to the ground, empty. But for St. Mary's Church, looming at the top of the hill, the horse was gone. And Neil was too. Dun, dun, dun.
The one that took the picture just disappeared?
He disappeared.
He disappeared.
Hey, Gillian.
Hello, Gillian.
How are you? So, Old St. Mary's Church in Clophill, England, the ruins of this church from the 1300s became a magnet for vandalism and occult activity in the 1960s, and has earned the nickname Black Magic Church. Clophill, Bedfordshire, in rural town of about 2,000 people, just over an hour drive north from London, it doesn't get many tourists, or at least not tourists the villagers want. If you're visiting Clophill, you're likely heading to Britain's Black Magic Church, otherwise known as Old St. Mary's Church. The sinister locals of the Goth chapel that dates back to at least the 14th century. Some say that the whole town of Clophill used to be built around Old St. Mary's high on the hill. Right? One of them MIB flashes? Could be. Could be. Legend has it that the townspeople moved to the valley in order to escape the Black Death, leaving the city locked in the church to die. St. Mary's is entirely made up of sandstone and was either built or renovated in a Gothic style. Though not very large, a tall tower stands at the west end of the church, offering a sprawling view of the valley below. In 1848, a new St. Mary's was built in the town to account for the growing size of Clophill. Old St. Mary's was converted to a mortuary chapel while its graveyard remained in use. It was this graveyard that would lead to St. Mary's infamy when a young man decided to attempt necromancy. The sleepy town of Clophill rarely saw tragedy, but James found that living there was tragic enough. He felt the borders of the village closing in on him on a daily basis. His parents promised that the world would open up after he passed his level exams.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
He snuck in on D-Live. I didn't see him at first.
But a year felt like a lifetime away. Though he was only 15, he was ready to experience the excitement of the big city living. He wanted to find out who he was, and he feared he would never escape the doldrums of Clophill. Then Margaret blew into his life like a thunderstorm on a warm summer night.
Bitch.
Her parents moved here from the city to the sleepy town to keep her out of trouble. But Margaret was trouble in a white by high boots and perfect blonde bob, that in the very spirit of 1963. She was the most interesting person to ever enter Clophill, and James went out of his way to get in her good graces. He did her homework, drove her everywhere she wanted to go, made sure that she never paid for anything. They hadn't kissed yet. He was so pretty sure.
He did. He kissed her butt the whole damn time.
Well, yeah. He was pretty sure he wasn't Margaret's boyfriend, but he had asked her to run away to London, and she didn't say no. So maybe there was hope. James's loved the idea of the two of them strutting down Carnaby Street.
Hey, Shrimp Shack.
Hey, Shrimp Shack, how are you? For once in his life, it had been an interesting one. But life had other plans. A thunderstorm really was the perfect description for Margaret. Her anger would come on like a sudden violent and full of bluster. She would rain down insults and accusations. Then she'd act if it hadn't happened at all. James couldn't recall what the fight was in the car that night, maybe dinner or his bad driving. It was stupid and probably his fault. The last thing he remembered was Margaret screaming at him as she grabbed the steering wheel mid-turn. James woke up in the hospital several days later. He told the police that he had swerved to avoid hitting a stray cat. They believed him well enough. It helped that he couldn't get through his sentences without crying after they told him the news. Margaret was dead, and so was James' hope for the future. He missed her.
Hey, Freaky Geek.
Hey, Freaky Geek. Right, Blind Wolf? Margaret was dead, and so was James' hope for the future. He missed her. He ached for her. He wanted her back. He knew his love alone would not be enough to bring her back to life. But after months of searching, James found a strange old book that promised to do just that.
Oh, hell.
When the clock struck 11, James headed to the dark cemetery to reclaim Margaret's body. He dug until his arms ached. His face was streaked with dirt and sweat. Finally, the shovel hit the wood of the coffin. The lid wouldn't give easily, but James dug his fingers in between the seams of the lid and pulled with his might. With a stiff creep, the lid came off. Bugs crawled across Margaret's body, and half of her face had been crushed on impact. But she was still the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. James lifted her face from the coffin, then struggled to carry both her and the shovel as he walked up the hill to St. Mary's. They wouldn't be disturbed there. More importantly, St. Mary's had other supplies he needed, over 600 years of history, just waiting to be tapped. James left Margaret's body in the entryway. As he moved to the ancient graveyard, he brought a shovel down on a tombstone, covering the shovel bounced back, sending him to the ground. James took a deep breath and tried again. The next stone wouldn't give either. He went down the line, failing again and again. But then fate lent him a hand. As he brought his shovel down the very last grave, the stone cracked. He kept going until he finally hit the coffin. The wood was rotten, and he had only tapped on it with the shovel once for the thing to fall in. James thanked Jenny, No Stone, as he collected her bones.
Patrick says you're buffering on D-Live.
Yay! Thanks for letting us know, Patrick. She was 22 when she died in 1770, and she looked good for her age. If James was going to draw power from the remnants of someone else's life, he thought he'd use a girl around Margaret's age and had a certain poetry to it. He hoped Jenny was just as spirited as Margaret in her own way, 1770 way. James carried Jenny's bones inside the ruins of the church. Parts of the buildings were crumbled while the others remained intact. It seemed God wasn't entirely ready to let go of this building, and that is why James needed to be here. He would enlist God's help, whether he wanted to help or not.
Fergie asked, did he dig up more than one grave or just one really deep grave?
Just one grave, Jenny's grave. Well, he dug up two, Margaret's and Jenny's. He got Margaret, and now he's using Jenny's bones. When he was sure, hold on. James arranged the bones in circles several feet away. He laid out the cockerel feathers and planted a small stake in the exposed ground. When he was sure it was stable, he placed Jenny's skull on top of it. James dug in his backpack to get white paint. He dipped his hand in the thick, pale liquid and dragged it across the church stone walls and interlocking lines. While he painted the simple, he told Margaret about everything she missed. He couldn't wait to see her again, to hear her weary digs of the small town. This would be the most interesting thing to ever have happen here. This would be infamous. He drew a large eye on the wall, eyelashes curled like Margaret's.
Hurry back, freaky.
Hurry back. It watched him as he continued his preparations, and he could feel the air crack with possibility. He lifted Margaret from the entry and carried her to the circle of bones. He kissed her mottled forehead and placed her inside the circle. He stepped outside and began to chant. The stone walls started to rumble. James heard a soft crack, but he wasn't sure if it was just the wind or if the magic was actually working. But the storm erupted, lightning cracked, rain poured through the open ceiling. The ground shook, and Margaret stood on. James lost his words as he took in the sight of her bugs swarming around her head. Skin hung loosely off one side of her face as lightning lit up the crumbling church. Margaret's eyes looked hollow and black. James's voice trembled as he called out her name. Margaret didn't appear to recognize him at all, but he knew that face. And the eyebrow quivering, the jaw clenching, it was her angry face. And while James feared her anger so much,
what the fuck?
I know, he was now thrilled to see it again. Margaret lurched forward. James tried to catch her gallantly and return her embrace. But this was no happy reunion, for death only made her angrier.
Welcome back to YouTube, Patrick.
Welcome back. Her hands gripped his neck and squeezed. He tried to pull away, but she dug her fingers further into his flesh. The world started to disappear around him. They stayed locked in the rain for minutes. Or maybe it was hours. James lost sense of everything. All he saw was a violet tinged world that he was trying desperately to hold on to. World and a memory of the stormy girl he loved. Finally, James gave in to Margaret's anger. Just as he always had, the fight left his body. And when she released him, he crumpled to the dirt. Right after that, Margaret fell to change. The spell had not been built to survive him. The church was still, except for the rain, which flooded down and turned the ground into a muddy mess. James and Margaret sank deeper and deeper into the mud, reuniting at last and stuck in clophill forever. After the new St. Mary's Church in Clophill was finished in the mid-1980s, Old St. Mary's was used less and less, and the property fell to despair. The path to reach it was severely damaged in 1988, and a group of thieves led from the roof in 1956, advancing the decay that had already taken hold on it in 1963. The Bedfordshire police were called to Old St. Mary's after two young boys discovered a skeleton of Jenny Hemingston arranged in a magic circle. The walls were covered in occult symbols, and cockerel feathers were strewn about the place. The mysterious incident made national headlines, and St. Mary's became known as Britain's Black Magic Church. This newfound popularity and difficulties of keeping the church secure resulted in Old St. Mary's being officially closed in 1972. The graveyard was leveled and the markers were taken away, and the Bedfordshire County Council acquired it in 1977. But if you think being decommissioned was going to dampen Old St. Mary's spirit, you were dead wrong. Ta-da!
So, in other words, after she killed him, she just crumpled back to dust.
Right. And they both sunk into the ground. And Jenny's skull was there to be found. Pretty freaky. Not gonna lie. Have you guys ever been there? Do you even know the church I'm talking about?
I know I don't.
No, I don't. I know I don't.
This would be for you folk across the pond.
Yeah, obviously. We don't live near any shires.
And you don't know. And Nicole don't know. Yeah, but see, Nicole gets mad when I eat cookies.
No? All right. Definitely weird shit.
Patrick asked, did the town build over the old graveyard?
No, actually, I looked it up. There is you can't even tell it was really a church. It's not like leveled. Like there's some part of it that's, still standing, but you can't really tell it's a church.
And he says that it's a foreign place and he doesn't have a visa to venture that far.
Thank you, Heather.
Was that Heather?
That was Heather. I know I didn't say Shire. I said Shaw or Shire instead of Shaw. That was Shaw.
Drew hasn't heard of it either.
No. It's up on clophill. That's all I know. Or in clophill. That's all I know. But they do have pictures of it, and it, like I said, thank you for the ice cream, Patrick. They do. Thank you for the ice cream. But they do claim that it is still, like, people still say it's haunted and everything like that. So, and that story might not have been true, but them finding the skull and everything, that did happen.
Now how do you know the rest of it didn't?
Well, maybe it did. I don't know.
Well, imagine you ain't something to mess with.
That's true. That's true. All right, on to the next. We're talking about weather and it affecting the paranormal.
Turn up your notifications.
I can't. It's either all or none. What, So there's a dark, stormy night. There is perhaps no introduction to a horror story as cliched as this line. It was a dark, stormy night. And with all the horror films, there is no quite often bad weather involved as well. With thunder and lightning, darkness and rain. While this may just be for dramatic effect, there is enough instances, thank you, of ghosts appearing during storms.
You kidding? I didn't even say it fucking right.
That one may begin to wonder if there's a connection to it all. What do you guys think?
All stories begin that way.
No, not about that. About thunderstorms affecting the paranormal.
Oh, well, of course it will. A thunderstorm has a bunch of electricity in it.
Right.
That's what causes lightning, right?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I think it would have a big effect on the paranormal.
People should see, like, thunderstorms really affect me. Lightning storms, don't they, honey?
It doesn't affect either one of us.
It affects me. I get energized by electric.
No, you go to sleep.
Well, yeah, because I get so... Whether there perhaps really is a connection between a ghostly phenomenon and weather. In fact, it seems that there very well could be some influence in paranormal from certain weather conditions. And there's actually become an area of serious study for ghost researchers in recent years. The idea is not entirely far-fetched. After all, if ghosts and spirits and other such entities do exist, then they must use some sort of form of energy to manifest. For example, it is thought that Ghosts sometimes utilize the ambient heat in the room for energy to manifest, leading to cold spots, as this energy is abruptly absorbed. If they do need to suckle off some sort of energy or charge, then it could be theoretically prone to fluctuations depending on certain atmospheric oh my god.
No, I can't help you because I don't even know what the hell you're trying to say.
Atmospheric? Yes, that phenomenon.
Hey, Circle.
Hey, Circle, how you doing? Long time no see. There are various types of that activity that could possibly affect the paranormal activity of the location, which the most common image of this being thunderstorms. So how would these storms be able to exert an influence on supernatural entities? There are actually several factors with thunderstorms that have been theorized to enhance or intensify the activity. Perhaps the biggest factor is believed to be simply the sheer amount of electrical and electromagnetic energy charging the air during the storms. For instance, lightning is caused by the buildup of high charged ions and expand electromagnetic fields when they release this energy.
Andy has a question.
Okay.
Why does the spirit need to manifest itself? I would have thought if it crossed the realm's borders, it would be strong enough to do as it pleases. But it takes energies to cross the realms.
Right.
You may continue.
Okay. I was reading chat, sorry.
Oh.
The humidity that is present during these storms is also important because it is due to this humidity that the air becomes so charged in the first place, and the level of the humidity is linked to how much energy a storm can create and how much lightning is lashing across the sky. Also, possible factors that could affect paranormal activity during storms are temperature and barometric pressures, which also have an effect on the amount of charge in the molecules in the air, as well as wind, which is caused by the energy generated from a difference between the pressure systems. With all this humidity, thunder, wind, and lightning, all these charged particles and electricity in the air, then if paranormal entities do exist and do rely on some form of energy to manifest in this plane, then it stands to reason that this charge could give them a bit of a boost and make them more visible and powerful than they would be at other times. It all comes down to the amount of energy available to these entities, and wherever there is a possible link between energy and ghosts. Indeed, so thank you for the lemon.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much. Indeed, so strong it is perceived connection between the factors of the storm and the ghostly activity that many paranormal researchers considered the level of these elements to be important data and carry equipment to measure them. Interesting, this theorized relationship being available energy in the atmosphere and the manifestation of paranormal phenomenon extends to other conditions as well. A good example would be solar activity from our sun, which sometimes releases solar flares that set loose X-rays, intense doses of UV radiation, and create what's called solar wind. The solar wind is composed of highly charged magnet. And we just talked about this the other day. About that hurricane, that solar hurricane we saw. The solar wind is composed of highly charged plasma particles that can lash out to reach all the way to Earth, which is electromagnetic energy, powerful enough to cause disruption in the planet's magnetic field, called geomagnetic storms. The electromagnetic energy hurled at us from the sun is powerful at times to affect electrical equipment on Earth, and this could very well have an effect on paranormal phenomena as well. This is all very interesting speculation and suggests that spirits and ghosts perhaps have actual physical rules governing their existence and abilities that could be influenced by the weather and events that happen across the earth. But it's also important to look at other natural explanations for why the weather might produce more reported paranormal activity. The most obvious one is simply that it's spooky and rather ominous when a storm hits.
I don't know if Rain's trying to say hello again or if she's trying to raise her hand and she got a question.
Hello, Rain! So yeah, the most obvious one is simply the spooky and rather ominous quality of storms, coupled with the long story of linking them to the paranormal in movies and books, may simply make for an atmosphere in which people are more susceptible to perceiving perfectly mundane things for being supernatural. For instance, wind banging around becomes an anomalous noise, and cold drafts coming through because a cold spot generated by an entity. In this sense, during a dark storm with thunder and lightning outside, and especially in a creepy place, we are essentially keyed up to perceive things as works of ghosts. Oh, she can go to the bathroom. It's okay, yes, you may.
I think Andy's just being a wise ass.
I know. Paranormal activity witnessed during storms may be caused by a phenomenon other than supernatural. The most obvious example would be ultra-low frequency sound waves, called infrasound. And I swear to God, I want to buy something that has, I deal with meters and stuff. I don't know. I got to wrap my head around it. I've been researching a lot of it.
Imagine that.
I know. Me? How dare me? This refers to sound that are just below the threshold of human hearing, which nevertheless can produce a wide range of rather dramatic physical and psychological effects are well documented. Yes, if it's down lower than Missy likes, then can hear the music or hear the words, it's going to piss her off. These subsonic sounds can cause a myriad of physical symptoms, such as disorientation, dizziness, shortness of breath, faintness, increased heart rate and blood pressure, and nausea as well. Along with, it could affect emotional and mental effects, including fear, sorrow, panic, and anxiety. It also affects on perception, like both oral and visual hallucinations. Since the people experiencing these systems can't actually hear the sound that's causing them, they may be inclined to attribute them to supernatural cause.
Andy has figured you out.
Why?
Watch out, Eddie. Sounds to me like Missy is building up to an Eddie, sweetheart. Can I have a moment here?
Maybe. Yes, the sound that makes you say yes. These infrasonic sounds can come from a wide variety of natural sources, including earthquakes, volcanoes, waves crashing upon rocks, wind, rain, and of course thunder. In some cases, the sounds can even be amplified by traveling over features of the landscape or passing through and resonating about certain structures or tunnels, which could explain why some locations are so prone to hauntings. Indeed, many haunted locales have found to be in the areas with persistent infrared readings. Interesting, to the point that it's considered an explanation in some cases, even by paranormal investigators. Since many weather events, such as wind and storms, can cause infrared sounds, or infrasound, this could be a plausible, rational link between weather and the paranormal. Other than infrasound, there's other weather phenomenon that could possibly cause people to mistake what they are seeing as something supernatural as well. The most notable and mysterious is probably ball lightning, which we all know. Most of us know what ball lightning is, which, although is still largely misunderstood as a recognized natural phenomenon, and takes the form of orbs of light that dance, streak, bob about, and even enter structures or pass through walls. It also can last up to several minutes in duration, unlike regular lightning. Ball lightning is so weird and unpredictable that even sometimes exhibits what almost seems to be intelligent behavior. And it has been used as an explanation of UFOs and, of course, ghosts. Another weather phenomenon that could be misidentified is something paranormal in natural is what is called St. Elmo's fire. And if you guys, it's a very good movie. No, but
well, it is. I mean,
it is, but which appears to be as a bright glow at the edge of pointed objects. And it's called by a ground object conducting the electricity into the air to the ionize the air molecules around it.
But you all never thought you'd be taking science class now, huh?
So, does the weather have any effect on paranormal activity, or is it just all natural phenomenon causing misunderstanding or misidentification? It makes you think, though. When you go in to investigate, you got to take everything into consideration. And most of you guys do anyway, so, obviously. Although it is far from something we can hope to understand anytime soon, the correlation might be worth pursuing in the future, and it sure does give someone to think about if you're ever up on a dark and stormy night. Yeah. It has effects. Yep, it's enhanced energy. Yeah.
I already told you what I thought. So, there.
What did you think?
I said, I already told you what I thought. I told you I think lightning storms and that have positive effects on paranormal. It gives them energy.
Right.
I mean, the static electricity in the air in some storms makes the hairs on your body stand up.
Right.
So you can't tell me that the air ain't electrified.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the ions and everything. That's why it's a good thing to have I like to have things like Tesla coils around or something like, you know what I mean? That,
yeah,
the little snappy to let you know that, okay, the ions are charged.
Well, the part that sucks about where we live, and a lot of people probably don't even know this, no matter how bad of a storm we get in this town, we can get buckets of rain per second. It never lightnings.
Pisses me off. They're seriously, guys, and I'm not lying about this, their idea of thunderstorms here, like to the local people that's never left Alaska, their interpretation of a lightning storm. Now, I'm only saying for Valdez because I don't know about Fairbanks or whatnot. I don't know about all that. But here in Valdez, their idea of a thunderstorm is heat lightning. And it's like, that's not a thunderstorm. Yeah, it does, Drew. It does make a lot of sense. And that's why I like doing these shows, is because it brings out different ways of looking at different things, and it makes you, and a lot of it does make you go, okay.
Do we have the Wendigo? Probably.
I don't know if we do have a one. I think we do, but I think we have basically everything up here, but it's hard because it's all called different things because of the different natives up here, if that makes sense. Yeah, Jacob's Ladder, yeah.
Was it aluminum? Be careful.
But yeah, it's hard to distinguish. And even when my friend had problems you know, with a certain spirit, like her lore and what her mom had passed down to her and everything. I had to figure out what it would be in the normal paranormal world. You know what I mean?
Andy, there's a difference between a storm and a death wish.
Yeah, exactly, Drew. It gets your brain working. Yeah, definitely. All right. So let's talk about some old school techniques. I love old school paranormal. You guys know that. I talk about it all the time. Maybe it's just because I just don't like change. I don't know. But people have been investigating the paranormal long before K2 meters and spirit boxes were created. So how did they do it, right? We as humans have been fascinated with the afterlife for centuries. And of course, all the links in the description is down in the description below. And all that good stuff. So nowadays, we have a large array of paranormal equipment at our disposal that can supposedly give us evidence that we are in the presence of spirit. But what did the old school investigators do to communicate? They didn't have K2 meters. They didn't have REM pods. They didn't have spirit boxes. So what did they do and how did they do it? One of the most famous old school investigation was Harry Price. He was the paranormal figure that many of us investigators look up to. He had a scientific approach for what to focus on debunking activity and most famously exposing the frauds. You can read all about the time he exposed fake spirit photographer William Hope. And there's a link, and I'll put that in the description as well if you want to see. He is, however, a controversial figure, but that is something we'll explore at another time. Today, we are looking at different old school techniques that we can still apply to today. This famous picture of Price's ghost hunting kit from the 1930s, when spiritualism was popular as ever.
Hey, Blue.
Hey, Blue. What techniques were used with these basic pieces of equipment? Could you investigate with all the flashy lights? And here I'll show the picture. This is his ghost hunting equipment. Let me take this down.
Looks like an old-fashioned lie detector test.
Right?
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Greg. Can you imagine toting that around, setting all that up?
Nope.
That's a lot of work. I mean, mind you, there's a lot of equipment that you tote around today, but, you know, that's a lot of... It looks a lot heavier.
I'm glad Patrick has a sense of humor. And you said, come off it, Patrick. In your day, they didn't even have electricity, let alone cassette tapes.
Nice, Andy. So locking down the room. Yep, exactly, Drew. Paper, I love using bells or chimes. You know, there's a lot of different ways. I have a video way back when I started about different things you could use.
Yeah, she used to throw rocks at the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
You're an asshole.
Yes, I am. I will own up to that.
So locking down a room. This is a theory that investigators still use today. Set up your room and then lock it down so that if you do capture something, you'll be able to eliminate the possibility that someone has walked in and tampered with the evidence. Price would use steel tape, plaster, and string to lock down a room. The tape was used to seal the door shut. If it was ripped, it means obviously that someone opened the door. He sealed the window shut to eliminate any sort of drafts coming in. Price didn't just seal the room up with tape. He would put his initials on it so that if someone did come in and tamper with the evidence and tried to cover their steps, he would know if the tape was replaced.
Actually, Patrick, I wouldn't even put it in a cookie sheet. I would do like a 5-foot perimeter. That way you can see it. They walk all the way through it.
Right, yeah. Trigger objects.
You got it, Andy. See, Andy knew what the hell my first car was.
Trigger objects. Your room is locked down and the possibility of tampering or natural interference is low once you've sealed the windows and doors and etc. It's ideal environment to place trigger objects. Price would famously use matchsticks as a trigger object with the theory that spirit who used to smoke would be enticed by the matchstick.
Scoop's asks, if I go to where an ancestor lived in the UK to where they are buried, would I sense anything? That is totally up to you.
Yeah.
That cannot be a dividend answer that anybody can answer for you. I mean, somebody can say, yes, you'll definitely feel something, but you won't feel anything. Or they'll say, no, you can't, you won't feel anything, but you might feel something. That is something that is totally up to you and your belief, whether you're going to feel something or not. I hope I explained that right.
Yeah, definitely. You can lie objects on the ground or on a piece of paper and trace the outline to see if it moved. Price loved using chalk to do this. And again, I'm going to put this out here for people that do outside investigations, right? That when you do an outside investigation, please do not put salt around a triggered object. A trigger object.
Because that'll keep the spirit away from it.
No. The salt being outside ruins the ground, ruins the plant life.
Well, don't do it on grass.
But if they're doing that, I would suggest using birdseed.
So you can get attacked by owls.
Well, yeah, that's fun too. But no,
oh, there you go, talcum powder.
Right. Talcum powder is good too in buildings, but outside, I'd rather people use like birdseed to where it will be cleaned up after itself with the birds and everything. That's a little witchy trick. But yeah, salt definitely ruins plant life, and we don't want to do that. So, like, if you're having like an old, basically, a thing is that when we used to do circles outside as witches, instead of doing salt, we would put birdseed around.
Right.
You
know.
Well,
that's why they want you throwing birdseed at weddings and that now instead of rice.
Right.
I'm getting a zoo lesson, I guess. Owls don't eat birdseed. I know. I'm just being a smart ass.
But yeah, so just a little idea. Detecting movement. There are no vibration sensors to pick up these footsteps, but you don't need one. Any bowl of mercury, if you want to work with mercury, can do the trick. The consistency of the liquid will make it clear if there has been any sort of vibration or tremor in the room. Another trick is to put powder on the floor to detect footprints. If you put powder inside a room that is completely sealed off, you would be really pretty impressed if a footprint appears. That's happened to me, like right in front of me, and that was a little creepy. That was when I was first getting into my witchy ways and stuff.
I don't know if I call it humble, but
bells are another great way to detect movement. Hang a string of bells in the doorway or at the top of the stairs, somewhere where
you see a lot of old movies, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
On the older movies, they don't. What was that one we watched where she used Christmas lights?
That's Stranger Things, honey.
No.
As an Ouija board, yes.
No.
Yes.
Somewhere the mom knew her son was still around.
That was Stranger Things. That was the first season of Stranger Things.
What are you talking about? An Ouija board, though? Or she used it as like an Ouija board.
Right.
There was no goddamn Ouija board in it.
So, like I said,
Andy says, "Oh yeah, I can see Eddie putting powder on the floor and wondering why it's moved when you get 40,000 earthquakes a year."
yeah. Obviously, you can't use that. But make sure it's somewhere, obviously, that there's not a draft. Again, sealing those windows is a good idea. And if those bells go off, it could mean there's someone passing through. Yeah, I love bells. I think they're the greatest.
Could have been a powerful silent fart.
Not if the room's sealed up and nobody's in it. Well, it could be. If it's Eddie's spirit, there's always a chance. No paper and pen. Not only is it important to document everything that is happening, but some people also like to leave no paper and pen in the room. Again, in a locked off room with no one inside, could someone leave a message? Perhaps you would like to try automatic writing. I've tried it. I don't think I meld with it as much. But I don't think I do it like you're supposed to. I don't know. Write down whatever comes to mind, however silly as it may seem. Some psychics like to use this technique and believe it's a way that spirits can deliver messages. Of course, the camera. Today we use fancy digital cameras or even mobile phones. You know, back then nothing was digital, so they relied on infrared film that was needed in low light circumstances. There would be very expensive to get your hands on today, as well as a camera that you could feed the film to. But back then, they could potentially capture a spirit on camera. Seance. In time when Ouija boards and seances were the thing to do on a Saturday night, it was a common thing investigators would do. You could try a seance or an Ouija board session. Perhaps try table tipping. Using a pendulum is also very popular too.
Hi, Linz.
Hey, Linz. How are you, hon? Welcome. Just remember, these techniques all have human element involved and can be easily influenced. And this is where your dowsing rods would come in as well. Flashlight. Not only is a flashlight needed for safety reasons, some believe that spirits can manipulate the light by unscrewing the top of the flashlight where it only needs to be lightly touched to turn on and off. It was thought that you could communicate with spirits and ask them to turn on the light as a yes or no question. Knocking. This is her favorite. This is her favorite technique, and she uses it quite often, she says. She's often criticized for doing so in the past, and out of many, many, many times she has used the technique, she's only had it work once, where she was having a conversation.
An intelligent conversation.
But it's nice to keep these in the back thoughts of your mind to try. I mean, different spirits might react different ways. A compass. Put down the K2 meter and try a compass. You know the compass won't go crazy with the mobile phone interference or light switch. It could, however, potentially go crazy if there is the presence of a spirit, or so it's thought. It is a very cheap and different way to detect energy. There's no shortage of what you can do without modern equipment. This is merely scratching the surface. Modern day equipment is very entertaining, but how reliable is it? We know that there are many elements that can interfere with our equipment. Mobile phones, natural EMF, electricity can cause a lot of false readings. If you have a room completely locked down using some of the above methods, you can pretty much say, you know it's not caused by the mobile phone. It's a bit of fun, but you need to have patience. When you don't have all the false positives happening, it's literally sitting around in a waiting game. At least, however, you know you can safely browse on your mobile phone while you're waiting and won't affect the results. So pretty cool. Here's another one that I pulled up too, is how to investigate the paranormal with no electronic equipment. which obviously goes in tone with the other one, right?
Turning off the power did not mute your live. You turned the power off on us?
Why'd you turn the power off on us?
That's true, Drew.
Yep. Exactly. My thoughts exactly. That's why I love reading like old school blogs and.
Well, you want to read what she says so everybody in your podcast can.
Oh yeah, so they're worth a try. After all, these techniques have paved our path to where we are today, and that's exactly, it is.
Welcome back, Nubs. Unless you're just lurking.
Just bring your mind when you investigate. That's true. Your body's the biggest way of knowing. And that's the thing. It's like with Skooks' about the ancestors now. If you know, you know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Freaky, if you just turned off the monitor and not the computer itself, yes, the show will continue running.
That's how it works.
You didn't kill the main component.
So modern day paranormal investigations can be quite technical, right? There are a lot of gadgets, a lot of meters, a lot of bright lights, and a lot of beeps. The equipment to use to detect the presence of something that may be paranormal. Some of the devices are tradies tools, such as the K2 meter, originally designed to find wires in the wall, and temperature guns to measure the temperature. There were devices specifically made for the paranormal investigation, like the Obelisk and the REM pod. These are specially designed devices also come with quite a hefty price. Putting together a decent kit will cost you thousands, and is it really worth it? What is important is to remember that all this equipment is only taking readings of the environment around you. Things like temperature, atmospheric pressure, or EMF, to name a few. When a device makes noises and light up, it means it's detecting this change? That's not a question. Sorry if I posed it as a question. When a device makes a noise and lights up, it means that it's detected this change. Does it mean that you have found something paranormal? The device can't actually tell you that. It can only tell you that what your surroundings are doing. It is up to the user to interpret the results. There's nothing wrong with using equipment. I admit that I use a lot of and rely quite heavily on as much tech as I can get my hands on. Of course, we all love the bells and whistles. We do. We're just a society of tech people anyway who love bells and whistles.
Oh, it's pretty. Got to get it.
Yeah, it's pretty, exactly. So, a while ago, I guess she published an old school paranormal investigation technique and gave a general and vague look. So, here's what she's talking about. Listening. We have the ability to hear. Some of us hear better than others. Some of us can hear at higher and lower frequencies than others. We can hear, but do we listen? One of the things she loves to do during location is sitting in a dark room, sitting still and quiet and listening to her surroundings. What are the natural noises of the location? What noises are coming from the outside? She gets herself used to the sounds. Then when she does hear a sound, she's able to establish if there is something needs to be looked at, or is it something, normal.
Hurry back, Andy.
Hurry back.
And I agree with Freaky. Using a spirit box with the right noise, the white noise it's irritating as hell.
It is, but there's a scientific method behind it. That's why we use it.
I know, but it's annoying. But that's why I like the portal box.
Right.
You can drown out the white noise, even though it's still producing it.
Right, yeah, it's still breaking up the portal.
Noise.
Yeah, it's still breaking up the portal. Seeing, our eyes can play tricks on us. In the same way we should take some time to really listen to the location, we also need to use our eyes to see what is in front of us.
Hurry back, Lynn.
hurry back. If you're in an investigation at night, which is quite common, allow your eyes to adjust to the darkness. Where does the natural light fall? What items cast shadows? It's a good idea to familiarize. What she's basically saying, and it's true, because you get excited to go investigate, right? So we don't take the time to sit there and really adjust to the environment around us. We're in there and we're just like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And we don't sit there and take in an account that our eyes have to adjust, that our ears have to, you know what I mean?
All your senses have to readjust.
Right. And it's good to sit there and you know, figure out what signs, what signs, what noises are there in the place itself, what's
that
natural. Yeah, that are normal there. It's kind of like, it's hard because you're usually only there for, you know, a bit, but it's kind of like moving into a new place and then you're listening to the new creaks and, you know, stuff in the house and you're like, what the hell is that? You know.
Never done it.
So, you're right. So, if you aren't looking down at a
Someone
piece
bought
of...
3 coffees.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. We appreciate that
Absolutely.
so much.
Thank you so much for whoever it came from. Or am I lying? It popped up here. Someone bought you 3 coffees.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. Right, Drew. Yeah, we should take our time to feel the place. I get out of the car, then take off. Exactly, because we're excited. You know, we want to get out there and freaking go. But if we're looking at pieces of equipment, we're not.
Shake that.
Friends!
Thank you so much, Linz, for the subscription. Thank you.
What a sweetheart.
You guys are awesome. Y'all are awesome. But yeah, you know, you're excited. Thank you again, Linz. We appreciate that. As the newbie,
I don't even bother with you anymore. Whatever.
But yeah, you know, we're excited to go out and investigate, so we don't take the time to really sit down and feel, you know, and see, because we're always looking down at pieces of equipment, right? Instead of looking at the surroundings. You're the best around, all you guys. Look and see if the location wants to show you something. Feeling. If you ask what the best piece, and I agree with her here, if you ask what the best piece of equipment I can get,
something don't feel right.
The majority of people will answer themselves. Our body has this way of picking up when things are different. We feel the temperature drops. We get the goosebumps when there's static electricity around. We react with fear and anxiety when our brain detects that our surroundings have changed. Even in the most subtle ways. Something that it's at, you know, that point of time where you're like, you're fine. And then all of a sudden you got that fear and the fight or flight feeling. It's like, what the hell just happened? What changed to make you feel that way? Yes, never ignore your gut feeling. That's so true. We all have this thing called intuition, where we just seem to know things. Now, of course, all of us, this would be called, you know, obviously a personal experience, and it's something that we can't use as proof. But who cares? There's nothing wrong with going into a location and just experiencing it. I am a person that loves data and reviewing things. Not me. That's her, definitely. I am so, man. But the best investigator, that's Eddie's job until he hears something. Then he's like, hey, Missy, come here. But the best investigator.
You like how she keeps putting me down?
No, that's not a bad thing. That's really a good thing. I'm bad when it comes to stuff like that. I have had where I just go in with nothing and see what happens. What am I feeling? Does an area make me feel emotion? Does my body react? While I may not walk away with evidence, it is often what I need to keep me going. Sometimes personally, I just need to go in and experience those feelings to remind me of the bigger picture. Often we can fall short when it comes to measuring things with equipment, yet our bodies tell a different story. Sometimes it's enough to validate to yourself and only yourself that there's something else out there. She said, I'm not trying to prove it to anyone for this instance. I'm opening myself up and going with a location that is making me feel. When you first start investigation in the paranormal, that's probably what you did. We all did that. Our first investigation, you're like all creeped out and like, what's going to happen?
Are you kidding me? I was creeped out walking down the hallway.
I know. But it's like that first investigation to where, you're creeped out, you're freaking out, but you're feeling things because it's a new experiment. Or a new experience, I should say.
Tell you what I felt was my heart fucking beat out of my chest. That's what I felt.
So open yourself up and allow yourself to feel what the location wants to give you. Observation and documentation. Besides yourself, of course, the only thing you really need to do is on your investigation is a paper and pen. This is a valuable tool. Cannot rely on our memories. And we need to stop, at least me. I lie to myself all the time and say, oh, I'll remember that. Yeah. as I'm going through the end of the night going, what was that?
Trust me, I can bear witness to that.
We sometimes remember things differently, or we can easily forget them. Maybe something doesn't seem significant at the time, but it could have meaning later on. Write down everything from what the weather is like to anything you've seen, heard, or felt. Bring together your senses and write down everything you experienced. Sit and watch. Even if you are with a group of people, please let me tell you that your perspective on things can change when you sit back and take an observation role. You actually start to learn a little bit more about your human element of things and how we react to things. By sitting back and watching, you aren't potentially getting caught up in the moment, and you are seeing things of how they really are. You may also see things what others have missed. Perhaps while people were doing things like EVP session, or again, they're focused on what they're doing and missing what could be happening around them. It is up to you to observe what is happening around them and in other areas. You have the opportunity to possibly see things that others will be missing because they'll be focused on another task. Write that all down. If you have several people all writing things down, it is interesting when you compare your notes at the end of the investigation. Did you see the same things? Did you feel the same things? Did you have the same experiences? Or did you interpret the experiences the same? The questions begin. Observation is an important investigation technique.
See, that's why on some of these paranormal shows that we watch,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I don't like is when they're like, shh, shh, and one investigator will point in a certain direction and go, did you hear that?
Right.
And the other guy goes, oh, yeah. Instead of pointing,
right,
just say, did you hear that? And if the other guy says, yeah, where'd you hear that? Let him point.
Right.
And then it's like, no, I didn't hear it over there. I heard it over here.
Right.
So
or there's times that.
But what I'm trying to say is if two people hear something at the same time, they might be trying to get your attention in two different spots.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But you're doing it by suggestion.
Right. Right. Or there's times that we've heard noises and you're like, did you hear that? It sounded like it. And I'm like, I heard it, but I don't know where it came from.
90% of the time, though, I don't point.
Right.
It's just like, you'll be like, I heard it. And it's like, it sounded like it came from out there, and you're like, I'm not sure if it came from out there. Was it outside? Was it out in the hall? Was it?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Heather. If you haven't already, please smash that like. You know, if you feel like following or sharing out or subbing, please feel free to. The mass hysteria, yeah. Yeah, it's double validation. Right, Drew. Yeah, exactly. So you can go, now I know paranormal investigators that, you know, use the pendulum. Some use table tipping, a Ouija board, scrying. Although I will say I've never scried on an investigation. I think I would freak myself out too much.
Welcome back, Lynn.
Welcome back, Lynn.
Thank you for subscribing.
Automatic writing, and the human pendulum. In the spiritualist era, mediums wanted to show their clients in a physical way. I also know investigators that use tarot cards.
Welcome back, Andy.
Welcome back, Andy. At an investigation, I've used somewhat different than I would do readings for you guys. But also there is a certain cards out there that I want to get. I haven't gotten yet, and I promised my friend I would get them and let them know how it worked for them because they have them. Katie,
Get what?
A set of paranormal cards.
Oh, who's gonna get them?
Me. I have taxes coming back.
Yeah, but you promised her long before that.
Yeah, I know. I tried. So in the spiritual era, mediums wanted to show their clients in a physical way what they were communicating via spirit. While there was a lot of frauds, there was also some people who were considered by researchers to be genuine.
Ricky wants to know how using tarot cards works in an investigation.
You definitely, it's a different way of doing things. It's how things come up. It's like is there a message? Say I sat there and was like, all right, is there a message that spirit wants to tell me? And I put a couple cards down or whatnot, and like I got the double. That's great. I know.
Yay.
That could be a day, you know, I'm free for whatever's holding me back. It could be interpreted in so many different ways. But I would definitely ask to give me a feeling if that's correct. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of like a sign.
So I know, yeah, it's kind of like I'd be doing a reading for a spirit, basically. Yeah. Lenormand cards are, Lenormand cards are great for doing it that way too, yeah. Yep. Pendulum,
When we had your scrying stone that one day, I was holding it and it started going eight nuts.
My pendulum?
Yeah, remember that day it just started just going?
Just going. It was trying to tell us something. Freaky geek. Patrick says, I have chased after shadow figures. Being a former police officer, I want to see something. Someone pulling a gag on us. Right, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to know if somebody's messing with you and screwing with you. Hell yeah. Using a normal deck of cards, it's called 52 pickup. They're good to use. Like I sometimes use that way of in a regular tarot reading, but not very. It's kind of like if I have the feeling to use it, if that makes sense. But the cards, I do have them, but I usually use them as is it a male or a female, or you know what I mean? That kind of thing in a regular reading. I don't use it the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, now you got to ask if you're binary or stuff like that.
What?
Are you male or female? Now you got to ask if you're binary.
Oh yeah, I know. For some reason, it sounds like you said, "Are you biting her ear?" I'm like, "What?" That's not funny, Andy. I'm so coming over there to kick your ass. I mean it. You don't mess like that.
Oh, I said, are you biting her ear?
I did. I thought you said that. All right, Bree, hurry back. Oh.
What the?
I know, Heather.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Are you non-binary? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean is you biting her ear?
Oh, thank you for the lemon.
Liz, you told us that, but the last time you went live, you never told us.
I know.
And actually, I never even got a notification.
I never get. I give up on notifications. I never get them. All right. So, where was I? These techniques.
Biting her ear.
Yeah, biting her ear. Oh, thank you for the ice cream, Heather.
Thank you.
These first being obvious that there are people that sometimes fake things. The second is where a person is unaware they are subconsciously moving things. For this reason, a lot of investigators don't like to use these techniques. Thank you, Nicole, for the ice cream. I do, however, think it's something that someone should try so they can at least get their own opinion on it. And I agree with that. Definitely at least try. Why not? Thank you, Patrick, for the ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, nothing frustrates me more than when people tell me not to do something or not bother to try something. Mm-hmm. Sure, in a lot of cases they can be right, but I want to come to my own conclusion, and I feel the same way she does. You know, of course, pendulum divinity. God bless America, I can't talk. And he's got a mouthful of food, so he can't talk either. So anyway, divination.
Hi, Pinky Tom. Are you aware
of the
media's take on DLive's involvement in the insurrection? Huh?
Nope, don't really care. I'm not talking about that.
Yep, me either. I have no idea what insurrection they're talking about either. So, I don't know.
But thank you.
I appreciate that. I'll keep that in mind.
So the pendulum itself acts like a receiver and a transmitter of the information and moves in different ways in response to questions. What?
I was just readjusting.
Oh, okay. A person holds the pendulum, of course, with a steady hand and asks for signs of yes. Then they wait to see a response. Right? Most of us know how a pendulum works. And then you got table tipping and the Ouija board, scrying. Now, scrying can be different ways. It could be a bowl of water. It could be a black mirror. With a candle. You can make a whole room out of it. It depends on, The human pendulum, while the world pendulum is often associated with something like a crystal on the end of the string, there's a human variation to this technique. By having a circle of people, you invite the spirit to come and talk. You ask the spirit to select a person they want to talk to. Sometimes the person may start rocking or feeling sick. Then they go to the middle of the circle with a person on either side of them. Then you ask the spirit to show signs for yes. They either move forward or backward. Then you ask for a sign for no, and then you carry on and as you were using a pendulum, except you have a person in the middle giving the yes or no answers.
Do that in your own goddamn place, Andy.
Zener cards. You can also use Zener cards. Why not work on your ESP skills, right? You can do testing anywhere. If it doesn't have to be a haunted house, it's quite simple. The 5 cards, each symbol, the deck is shuffled. There are 2 people with, and I forgot who it was. I think it was Greg that brought it up that we should do a Zener card experiment with you guys. And we might definitely do that. The receiver, of course, then concentrates and says the first image which comes to mind. This continues over a certain amount of time, and an overall success rate is calculated. You can always do other alternatives, like glass dowsing is another way of basically like this Ouija board. The table wrapping, knocking. The idiometer phenomenon. When using all of the above techniques, the major flaw is the human element, right? So while most people will be genuine with their intent when using these techniques, not knowingly fake anything, they may be answering or moving the items on a subconscious level. You do have to be careful of that. They are not aware that they're doing it, so they believe that the spirit is communicating with them. It's called the idiometer phenomenon. Idiometer. I'll get it right one of these days.
The what?
Yeah, see, exactly. What?
What were you trying to say?
The idiomotor. The little, subconsciously, the little...
Oh, hang on, the palm of your hand?
Yeah. So, again, lock down the room, right? Old school way. Put talcum powder on the floor, do that. You could also, there's also equipment that is not electrical, which you can also use. One of the most popular would be the compass, like we said. It works kind of like the K2 would. Have an open mind. Don't always be staring at the equipment. Look around. So, and you also could use, like here, there's a picture of her basically setting up ping pong balls all around the room.
That would be weird. I mean, I think I get it. The reason why. Because they move easily.
Right, and the electron, if you notice, like they move in a weird,
from your hand can make it move.
Yeah. So putting ping pong balls down, that's a great idea, because they do get like electrically. It's almost like a balloon, a weighted balloon.
Oh yeah. Static electricity.
Yeah. If you're concentrating on the equipment, could that cause some kind of manifest? Very well could, Andy. That's another, yeah. Hey, Maria, how are you, hon?
Hi, Maria.
Right, Drew. You have to believe your evidence, too. Definitely.
Well, you can only believe your evidence after you go back and seriously evaluate it and look it over.
Right.
I'm not sticking a bowl of water. For scrying? I can see how that's possible, though.
Yeah, definitely. So, let's talk about some Tesla's supernatural investigation or inventions, not investigations.
Super investigations.
I don't need to tell you who Nikola Tesla is.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jim. How are you? Of course, he's a scientist. Everybody knows who Tesla is, hopefully. Because if you don't know who Tesla is, then you're losing out on a lot of things. But anyway.
You're way too young.
Yeah. He's a figure that a lot of people in the paranormal field look up to. While he was not a paranormal researcher in the traditional sense, he was the engineer and inventor who revolutionized. Yeah, that. The way the world understands and uses electricity and radio transmissions. His theories are mind-blowing, and labeling him a genius is certainly no understatement. It would surprise some to know, however, that a man dedicated to science also had a curiosity about the supernatural. And I think that's why a lot of us look up to him, because we have the scientific side, but we also have the, Google him quick. Right, Drew? Some, oh, shit, I lost my way.
What a match.
Some internet theories out there even suggest that he was not of this world, or perhaps had a direct communication with beings not of this world, because his inventions seem so futuristic and couldn't possibly been any thought by human.
Welcome back, Freaky.
Welcome back, Freaky. It is quite fitting in the way that paranormal investigators use some of his technology to help conduct paranormal investigations. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomenon, it will make more progress in one decade than all previous centuries of its existence. Nikola Tesla. So, of course, we all know about the Tesla coil. In the late 19th century, Tesla patented a device called the Tesla coil. It basically laid the foundations for wireless technology and is a concept that is still used in radio technology to this day. The Tesla coil is an indicator that is used in many early radio transmission antennas. It works like a capacitor to resonate current and voltage from a power source across the circuit. In fact, he used this coil to study X-rays, radio, wireless power, and electromagnetism. That word.
Just go with it.
Yeah.
It's getting late in the show.
The aim of the Tesla coil was to provide power to the world without having cords everywhere. A wireless future. While this is something we take for granted today, in the 19th century, this was groundbreaking, futuristic kind of stuff. In the paranormal field, a lot of investigators use Tesla coils to charge the environment. While the Tesla coil was not invented for this purpose, as such, one cool thing that the Tesla coils do essentially shoot out lightning bolts of electricity into the atmosphere. It could power a fluorescent light bulb across the room without any wire, which that's its purpose. But also, according to some, possibly attract spirit. There are different theories in the paranormal world about what a spirit is and what it needs to communicate, but most agree that they need some sort of energy to be able to communicate with us. It is thought that in order to do this, they can manipulate the electromagnetic field around us. It is thought that the electricity, for example, is almost like a battery power for them. By pumping this high voltage electricity into the air, are we increasing our changes of communication?
Yeah, some questions coming at you.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Andy first, he says, don't they measure X-rays, etc.? As part of the light spectrum using radio telescopes, is that working along the same lines as the Tesla coil?
It could be. I'm not sure, Andy. as part of the light spectrum. I believe that makes sense. I'll say that.
Okay, Freaky asked, how does the Tesla coil differ from other coils?
Tesla coil was just the first one used. He's the one that came up with where other coils are. It first began with the Tesla coils.
Okay, those are your questions.
Okay. Drew said, I saw a big YouTuber start using this coil with great results just the other day. Looks dangerous, though.
It
You're
can be.
tempted to touch it. Right? You're going to get zapped. No, I don't think the Tesla coil... I mean, Tesla, if you saw his big coil...
Hey.
Hey, now.
This
Like,
is
he'd
not
sit
that kind of
underneath it. He'd sit underneath it.
Well, he wasn't right in his fucking head anyways.
Well, true, but he was right in his head. He just had a lot of... That's why geniuses look like they go crazy. It's because they're always thinking about things, and then
Elon Musk.
it comes out. It just...
What did Elon Musk say? The guy asked him, he says, are you an alien? Elon looked at him and said, do you think I'm an alien? The guy says, yeah. And Elon says, I'm an alien.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you got to look at. So the Tesla Spirit Radio. On February 9th, 1901, Collier's Weekly published an article titled Talking with Planets, written by Nikola Tesla. The article talked about communicating with other planets through radio transmission and electrical signals with the desire to learn about the beings who could possibly be on those planets. Communication would be simple at first because, of course, how do we know what language they would speak? Would they even speak at all? Would it be the universal language of the world? Math? Numbers? Simple communication would begin the numbers, and communication would rapidly progress. Such communication would be difficult, but not impossible. How did Tesla know this? Had he already found a way to do this? He says, I can never forget the first sensations I experienced when it dawned upon me that I had observed something possibly of incalculable consequences to mankind. I felt as though I was present at the birth of a new knowledge or the revelation of a great truth. Even now, at times, I can vividly recall the incident and see my apparatus as though it was actually before me. My first observation positively terrified me, as there was a presence in them, something mysterious, not to say supernatural, and I was alone in my laboratory at night. But at this time, the idea of these disturbances being intelligently controlled signals did not yet present itself to me. Nikola Tesla.
And he says, so spirits need energy. Okay, I get it. I sit in a room with 8 wall sockets. Why don't they just access those?
Different type of energy. That's controlled energy. At least that's my take on it. That's controlled energy. That would be us touching it. It'd zap us too much. Does that make sense?
Amanda.
Hey, Amanda.
All right, we got to close the show now. No, I'm just kidding.
That's so wrong. So one of the devices paranormal investigators use is what's called a Tesla Spirit Radio. And if you haven't seen these are really cool, and I suggest you try to make one. Chris Fleming, if you know who he is, he uses them. He's made them before. So one of the devices, like I said, is called the Tesla Spirit Radio. It is essentially a crystal radio, and it works in a similar way to the crystal diode receiver.
Celebration time!
Chocolate mooncake time!
Thank you, Freaky.
Thank you, Freaky. Except it's specialized Tesla coil antennas and variable capacitor. You simply connect the audio input to the amplifier, voice recorder, or even a computer program. However, the best result seems to work with an amplifier. Tesla obviously used different parts. However, this is the version that the paranormal investigators use today. Tesla himself was quite surprised with a special device that would allow him to talk to another world. He said, "What a tremendous stir this would make in the world. How soon will it come? For that it will sometime be accomplished must be clear to be every thoughtful being. Something, at least, science has gained. But I hope that I will also be demonstrated soon that my experiments in the West, I was not merely beholding a vision, but had caught sight of a great and profound truth." Nikola Tesla. When you think of technology, the technology we use today, ghost box, spirit box, echo box, portals, Tesla was years, if not centuries, ahead of the game. An influential person that everyone can look up to, not just those interested in the paranormal. I encourage you to look in the past paranormal for a second. Look at things he did and the way he viewed the world. I love Tesla. Eddie, you know that. Tesla thought of a lot of different things. Not only, it's the stuff that isn't out here in the media, if that makes sense. It isn't like, yes, we know Tesla did this and we know Tesla did that, but it's the other stuff that people don't realize what he did or the way he looked at things. Yeah, Drew, that's why we built our portal box.
And actually, Patrick, you're kind of wrong on that. The flashlight does not have to be on, or the device doesn't have to be on for a spirit to drain a battery. If you're operating another piece of equipment in the same room that you have another piece of equipment, it can actually drain that battery of that device that's not even turned on.
Oh, I think you do, Andy. Andy says, "I don't think my brain cells are big enough to comprehend how Tesla saw the world. Let alone even half of the stuff he knew."
Yeah. Some of the conversations we've had, brother, no, I don't believe a word of that.
Yeah. Same with you, freaky.
I know. They like to play.
Yeah. All right. So last but not least, let's talk about, and like I said, links to make the barometer and the crystal radio and everything will be down in the description. All right. What is pink noise and how does it compare with other sonic hues? Here, if you have a hard time falling asleep, they tell you to do pink noise. The color of noise is determined of the energy of the sound signal, specifically if it depends on how energy is distributed over various frequencies or speed of sound. Pink noise consists of all frequencies we can hear, but the energy isn't quite distributed across them. It's more intense at lower frequencies, which creates a deep sound. Nature is full of pink sounds or pink noise, including the rustling leaves, the steady rain, the wind, heartbeats. To the human ear, pink noise sounds flat or even. So let's go through the list of what color of noises there are. And a lot of people don't know that a lot of paranormal investigators do they experiment with other colors of the sounds. We all heard of white noise, probably even seen the flick. I love that movie, by the way, one of my favorite movies. Of course it is, because it's got, what's his name in it? Yeah, him.
Mm-hmm.
Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton. I had to say Beetlejuice to remember. Michael Keaton's one of my all-time favorite actors. So, sound and light obey the same laws of reflection. And with that being said, because the spectrum of sound wave frequencies are similar to the spectrum of light wave frequency, the different colors apply to different types of noise based on their distant frequencies and characteristics. Thus, If the sound wave pattern of pink noise was rendered into light waves, the results would be pink light. We all know what white light is, a combination of all the colors in the visible light spectrum. When white light shines through a prism or water vapor,
It bends.
you see the rainbow.
Yeah, because it bends.
It breaks it apart. The white light is broken apart into other colors of the visible light spectrum. Definitions of colors of the noise. Black noise is the noise that has a frequency spectrum of 0 power level.
I know you meant freaky. I've been waiting to get a chance to ask her, though.
All frequencies except for a few narrow bands or spikes. Basically, black noise is silence, no noise at all. I think it's that eerie noise.
Welcome back, Scoops.
That eerie.
Yep.
When it's too quiet.
The unsettling feeling.
Yeah,
that
you're like
being watched.
Yeah, it's too quiet. Welcome back, Skook. What was your question, or Freaky's question?
Freaky wanted to know if noise has an aurora like the human. If it has like an aurora to it, like a human does. I wouldn't say so much like, I think it is an aurora itself.
Yeah, it's definitely. I would think it was because I don't know. I see noise sometimes, and it's like this. I can't explain it. It's like all together, like in a bubble, but it's weird. I know.
Freaky's got to go to the store later for snakes.
Snakes? You're going to buy snakes? I wouldn't picture you as a snake person.
Because he's hungry.
I still wouldn't picture you as a snake person.
But I'm pretty sure he meant snacks.
So blue noise, aka azure noise, is similar to pink noise, except the power density increases 3 decibels per octave in the frequency increases. In technical terms, the density is proportional to the frequency. This can be good noise for digital audio processing technique used to prevent sound distortion. Brown noise.
That comes out of the bathroom.
Yeah. It has more, it has more energy at lower frequencies, decreasing by about 6 decibels per octave. To the human ear, brown noise is similar to white noise, but a lower frequency. I think it's that one that gives you that. There's like white noise, and then there's like creepy white noise. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. I'm very sensitive when it comes to noises, and yeah.
Yeah, she's the only person I know that when she's sleeping, you try to be quiet so she can sleep. She wakes up. And she'll look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I'm trying to be quiet so you can sleep. So I'll make all the noise in the fucking world, she'll never even budge.
Yeah. The louder the sound, like the more comforting I am.
It's like I'll be sitting here because they should be taking a nap slowly on the couch. And the way she lays, to where our office is, the light will shine right on her face.
Yeah.
So I'll try to be nice and I close the door a little so like, what are you doing? Open the door. That light's comforting. I'm like,
yeah.
If that was me, I'd be pissed off.
When it comes to sound and lights and stuff, like I wake up a little because I'll fall asleep with the light on. Not that I'm scared of the dark. I don't know what it's like a comfort for me. So like when Eddie shuts off the light, it's like a coldness. It's weird. I mean, he'll be nice and shut it off, and I'm thankful that he does. But yeah, Eddie, you breathe. That's what woke Missy up.
You ain't lying, Andy.
Hold your breath until she wakes up.
All right, go out and have a cigarette, one or the other.
Yeah, right? No, because every time he comes in and out of that door, even though he's quiet, he doesn't like slam the door or anything. He's very quiet about it. But it's that quietness that gets me.
So from now on, I'm going to start slamming the fucking door.
Hey, Patricia, how are you, hon?
Hi, Patricia.
The ultra low noise that makes everyone's ears bleed and causes nothing. That made me think of Stacy, the one who just passed away.
Yeah.
Because the kids would be running around making noise, and then she's like, "Will you guys be quiet? You're making my ears bleed." And every time she said that, one of the kids would try to see her ears bleeding.
I wish I knew what level of hearing I was at when I had my hearing test done for Peter Pan. They said for somebody my age, my hearing was exceptional. And my hearing was better than all the kids there that were younger than I was.
Well, the kids will tell you that. They can't stand it. But yeah, that's of course, Drew. Teenagers, I remember doing that. At least he doesn't have like that. What is it? The X?
Yes.
Oh, that stuff, man. All right, so blue noise, like I said, no, I was on brown noise. Sorry.
Yes, you were on brown noise because Patrick said you can smell it.
Yeah, brown noise is similar to white noise, but at a lower frequency. Examples in nature include waves on the beach and some wind noises. Green noise is said to be background noises of the world. It's the mid-frequency component of white noise. Ambient noise averages from several different outdoor locations, similar in sound to pink noise, with the emphasis of the range around 500 hertz. Gray noise is a random noise that sounds the same at all frequencies to the human ear. This is not the same as white noise, which has the same energy of all frequencies. Gray noise is subject to a psychoacoustic equal loudness curve, which compensates for the bias of the human ear so that it sounds the same in all frequencies. Psychoacoustic is the study of sounds or acoustics perceived by the human ear. Orange relates to musical scales. The bands of the zero energy coincide with the notes in the scales. This means that the in-tune notes of a scale are removed, leaving only the out-of-tune frequencies. It creates a clashing, displeasing noise since all the in-tune musical notes are eliminated. The remaining spectrum consists of sour or orange notes. Pink noise, again, is similar to white noise, except that it contains an equal amount of energy in each octave band. Sound engineers use pink noise to test whether a system has a flat frequency response. Pink noise can be generated by putting white noise through a pinking filter, which removes energy as a frequency increase approximately 3 decibels per octave. Pink noise is similar to the light, which leans towards the lower end of the visual spectrum. Red light, cool at its prose definition, pink noise has a spectral frequency of the LF and is found mostly in nature. So a lot of paranormal people do use pink noise, or they filter out like EVPs and everything into the pink noise sector. The pink noise sector. Purple noise is similar to brown noise, except that the power density increases 6 decibels per octave as the frequency increases. So that's as much more that you increase that frequency, the decibels go up.
Celebration time!
Chocolate mooncake time!
That's Freaky Geek.
Thank you, Freaky Geek. Red noise is another name for brown noise, and an oceanography. No, graphic.
Okay, oceanographic.
Thank you. Term which describes the ambient noise of the distinct underwater objects due to the selective absorption of higher frequencies. The color red refers to the loss of higher frequencies that is emphasis in the lower frequencies. This is from the white noise, white light analogy and applies to either of the above definitions. White noise, a random noise that contains an equal amount of energy, is all frequency bands. White noise is the equivalent of white light and how it gets its name. White light is made up of all light frequencies, while white noise is made up of all audio frequencies. White noise is used in electronic music, either directly as a sound effect or the basis to create other noises. For example, many percussion instruments have a high component of white noise. White noise is also used to mask other sounds. That's why when you do EVPs and you go through the white noise, the white noise masks it. So it's kind of like we use that white noise to break up, kind of like a strobe light, right? The strobe light makes you move slowly through what we can see, right? The white noise does the same for the spirit boxes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The process takes advantage of the way the human brain works. The brain is able to signal out simple frequency ranges, but has trouble when too many frequencies are heard at once. When white noise is present, other noises appear diminished. That's why when they say, when you know, obviously people that use spirit boxes know when they're doing the scan what channels are what. Do you know what I'm saying? Or what channels they're going to broadcast. We're not looking for those. We're looking for the noises and the sounds and the words that come out in between those. If there's one word and it goes through 15 different scans saying that one word, obviously that's not a radio station. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can't repeat it. It's not going to repeat it through 3 different ways of light and maintain the same frequency.
Right.
Thought I was reading.
That's okay. It can be. And then, of course, you get into the whole binary beats and stuff like that. Those can be healing. Those can wake up. I think so, the ones that I listen to are mainly the ones that you can open up the junk DNA. That's what I do. That's why I seem so crazy all the time. I'm trying to open up different shit that I'm not supposed to. The infrared sound, yes, that will fuck with you. Infrared sound definitely will fuck with you.
Hurry back, freaky.
Yes, hurry back, freaky. Yes. The military, yeah. Yeah. They use that. Yeah, military uses it for crowd control, yeah. That definitely makes you like that. Ew. See, that's one thing here where I've never felt that, Andy. Andy said infrared sound allegedly produces or precedes a quake, known to make some people feel nauseous. No, the only thing that I've ever felt with quakes is the quaking itself, and then afterwards I quake. I quake, that's just it. But I've never heard the infrared, not that I want to. Gods be known. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think crowd control, they just start blasting everybody with rubber bullets.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it.
You're right, Rain. Yes, crowd control is different everywhere, too. Yeah. I mean, they got to use different things for different types of crowd control. Definitely. But with that being said, let me get over to D Live.
And while she's heading that way, folks.
Hold on 1 second.
Why do I have to wait?
Because I got to pull up the credits.
Well, you can do that after I do my thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not what the thing says. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, no, go ahead. You're the boss. It's your fucking show. Just, even though you wouldn't leave me alone in my show.
All right, hold on, guys. We got something new here. All right, guys. Well, it's that time again. First of all, we want to say thank you so much for being here with us today. You all mean the world to us. Without you, there is no us. If you're over there listening to the podcast portion, thank you so much for your support. We can't thank you enough for supporting us. To all of you, from the bottom of our hearts, you all really are the best. And don't think we don't notice all the love and support, because we do. We see you sharing us out, subscribing and liking the show, so thank you guys so much. It means the world to us. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome to the chaos. Please feel free to like and subscribe. We'd love to have you join in the conversation. And if you'd love to support the Shadows of the Moon show become a self-sufficient show on here and the podcasts, for as little as $1 a month, you can help. Take a look in the description below for all the links and details. We'd really appreciate it. All right, guys. It's time to do our sign off and see who got what lemons. All right, guys.
And with that being said, I'm going to hug the ladies, fist bump the gentlemen. Stay safe, stay strong. We'll get through this together. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow.
All right, I am pressing the chest right now. Let's see what lemons we get. 20 seconds. You guys, you know we love you. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are amazing. You really are. Who's a wanted list? Oh, the credits is a wanted list. That's funny. 10 seconds, guys. Hit that chest if it hasn't come up for you and get your lemons.
I didn't see anybody over there hyping up chat.
I know. Nobody was hyping up chat. What's up with that?
No, Heather, you guys rock.
That's right. You too. All right. Patrick got 72 lemons. Nicole got 41.7. Heather got 30.4. Rain got 24.4. And Melanie got 20.5. Hello, Melanie.
Oh, no. Freaky walked away.
Freaky.
Yeah.
Blue, did you get some? I hope so. All right, guys. With that being said, we will see you tomorrow. Is of course Tarot Tuesday, Coffee and Cards. Come get your free readings. We love you guys. Be safe. Take care. And remember, find something today that makes you smile with your eyes. Mwah! Love you guys.